Oh, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Gamers Lounge, and this is Michael. And today we're going to do a little bit of a chat. It's not even a showcase or a review, especially because there are countless reviews on YouTube and on the internet of this Lords of the Fallen, which I've got here running on the PS5. Now, the reason I'm doing this little jingle is because I've searched YouTube pretty much high and low to see if I could find any reviews or discussions on how the game plays after all the patches it's received by Hexworks. Now, we've got to give them very high praise indeed, because they've listened to fan feedback, they've taken on board constructive criticisms, and basically they've just listened to all suggestions, and I think they've done an admirable job here. Now, when the game was first released, even I was in two minds about buying it, and I didn't because of the fact that it had all these glitches and bugs, and you know, in particular things like frame rate issues. And when you've got something running on these powerful consoles, you don't want stuff like that, especially game-breaking bugs. But I sort of waited, and they kept releasing patch after patch after patch, and they really have improved the game somewhat. So what I want to talk about today, just briefly as well, I'm not going to make it a long, tedious video, but to answer the big million-dollar question, is the game worth it now that it's been patched many times? And it has had a hell of a lot of patches. And yeah, the answer is pretty much a resounding yes. Firstly, if you're a Souls fan, you're going to love it. Now, I am a very big Souls fan. I played Bloodborne the first time, and from then I was hooked. And so I will play any Souls-like game. The last one I played was Lies of P, which was very good. Very, very high-quality game indeed. The bosses weren't as fun to fight as they are in the Souls franchise, but nevertheless, it's still a good game. It had some very good atmosphere, very good graphics, and a really good story. So in this little video here, now, it's not directed, unfortunately, at those that haven't played the game yet, or newcomers, because otherwise it would be a very long video and it would end up being a review. There are lots of reviews out there. There are also lots of really quality YouTubers that list all the patches and what they do. So if you want to get some more insight into the patches, you've got some very detailed videos by them. If you just type in the search bar patches and what they do, it's superb. Now, before I go any further, a very big shout out goes to a very quality YouTuber called Phase Shifter. It was thanks to him that I got swayed into going for this game, and I bought it on sale. Now, Phase Shifter has got some fantastic, insightful, in-depth videos about builds, and he tells you exactly best weapons, best spells, best buffs, different armor sets to use, and how to go about destroying everything in your path. Now, you could see Phase Shifter as being a kind of a quartermaster for Lords of the Fallen before you decide to undertake the mammoth task. And honestly, this guy's videos are absolute quality. I would really highly recommend that you visit that page, subscribe to him, and take a look at what he's got on show. And because he really does tell you everything there is to know about how to steamroll your way through this game. And speaking of which, I wrote him a note on YouTube praising him on his videos, but also on his delivery, which is hilarious. It makes me chuckle. And a good example is, if you want to become a completely unkillable murdering machine, then this is the build for you. Now, apologies to those who haven't played the game. You won't know what I'm talking about when I mention spells and names of weapons and so on and so forth. But like I said, there are lots of videos that will give you reviews about the game if you want to think about buying it. If you're a Souls fan and you're already playing through it and you've reached this area, or perhaps not, there will be no spoilers for the story, but I will tell you exactly what the game is like now. And yes, it's very good. As you can see, it's smooth. I'm playing it on the PS5 in performance mode. It's only crashed on me once. There are very, very few frame rate hiccups. Nothing too drastic, but if you think about it, it's kind of excusable because the game is running a lot of detail, a hell of a lot of detail. There's only one thing I would fix, and that's the lock-on. Now, when you lock on to certain enemies, if you're swarmed by them, it's very difficult to lock on to the one you want to fight, and the camera locks onto something else, some other enemy, but not the one that you need to focus on. And when you're in Umbral, if you're trying to soul flay a platform, and you're focusing the camera on the effigy to pull the platform towards you, for some reason the camera sweeps toward an enemy which is far, far down below and to the far right or left of your screen, and you think, well, why? Who cares about you? I want the bloody platform. And it really frustrates you. You need to go down there and kill him or chuck a projectile or something before you can pull the platform towards you. And in the meantime, you get pelted by other enemies. Time passes by when you're in Umbral, and you risk being attacked by the Reaver. Yeah, exactly. Now, those are the only things I change. The lock-on system is still a bit unstable. If you've got 5 or 6 enemies in front of you and you want to lock onto the one in the middle, it's the strongest one, to take him out first, for some reason the camera doesn't. It either doesn't work, and you keep pressing R3 in the PS5's case, it just doesn't lock on. Or it locks onto the wrong enemy, and you think, oh, bloody hell, it's an absolute pain in the arse. But other than that, it's a fantastic game, and it is definitely worth your time. Especially if you're a Souls fan, it is 100% worth your time, because when you play it, you'll feel at home. You'll feel like you're playing, a From Software game. It's really that good. Lords of the Fallen borrows heavily from the Souls formula, as you know. Now, for the retro gamers among you, for those of you that know, it borrows from another game. It borrows from the Soul Reaver franchise, because when you go into Umbral, that comes from Soul Reaver on the PS1, and ultimately they improved it visually on the Dreamcast. But yeah, when you travel into Umbral, in order to traverse certain parts of the environment, like if there's a chasm in the normal Axiom level, the Realm of the Living, you've got to go into the Realm of the Dead, Umbral, and a bridge appears, or you soul flay a platform or two to create one. That borrows heavily from Soul Reaver, but that doesn't really matter. If you can borrow from other games to improve your own and to sort of give it its own identity. Now, the other thing, this is to quote Phase Shifter's help as a quartermaster. Now, here are my stats. As you can see, they're very, very high. This is my 4th or 5th playthrough, perhaps even more so. I play it on New Game 0 Plus or Plus 0. You can do it Plus 1, Plus 2, Plus 3, and the enemies get much tougher, and the bosses do as well. Of course, you're tougher, but it just increases the actual challenge. Now, for me, the game was challenging enough on my first playthrough, so I don't really want to ramp it up even more. But it's still challenging enough, because when you go halfway through or 3/4 of the way into the game on New Game Plus 0, you're still a powerhouse, but the bosses are still challenging. You can just, you do a lot more damage to them, and you enjoy the game, and you're not so frustrated or panicky, because yes, the game is very hard. It's designed to be tough but fair. It's not frustratingly stupid and punishing to the point where you want to throw your controller at the wall and shatter it into a million pieces. I reached a couple of stopping points during my first playthrough. I thought, I can't do this. But that's when I went onto YouTube to look for boss strategy videos, and then I discovered Phase Shifter, and I thought, I like this guy's weapon ideas. Now, I started off on the class that he recommended, Orion Preacher, and that really carries you through the game, because you start off with the Orion Preacher hammer, which does a lot of damage, and it does radiance damage, which is like magic. The weapons I've got here are twin swords. Now, they come from the first boss you fight in the game, the lady knight called Pietà. You have to have 2 playthroughs to have 2 swords, obviously, so that's why I'm dual wielding them. But another one that comes highly recommended, not only by Phase Shifter but by lots of other YouTube videos and guides on the internet, is a sword called Bloody Glory, and I'll show you what I mean. Here's an example. Okay, now I'm going to do it without buffing myself up first. So this is Pietà swords. There you go. Now, when you're on your first playthrough in this area, which is about halfway through the game or 3/4 of the way, this guy takes at least 8 to 10 hits to bring down, and you've got to dodge more. Okay, now that's me not buffed. Now I'm going to buff myself up using the spells. So let's just reset using the vestige. So here's what I use. Now I've got the Dark Crusader armor. It doesn't provide you with the most damage mitigation, but it just looks really cool. And it's strong enough. It does protect you enough. It's a really good set of armor, and it does make you look very mean and very mysterious and battle hardened. You know, it makes you look like a Dark Templar Knight, Dark Crusader. So it's superb. Mana Stone Ring slowly regenerates mana over time, which powers your spells. The Ring of Gnawing gives you back a little bit of mana with each strike that you give to your enemies. The Pendant increases holy damage for your projectile spells. And here are the various spells. Invigorating Aura, which heals you a bit, and any allies that are in its vicinity. Radiant Weapon imbues your weapon to give you even more holy damage, so you're even more devastating than ever. Piercing Light is your distance spell, your projectile casting spell, which I've got mine doing about 640 plus damage with each spell strike. And Aura of Tenacity provides you with a little bit of a light shield to mitigate some damage. So we're going to go down there again, and this time I'm going to imbue the weapon with more holy damage. Hang on, just get out of his way. Do some, hang on. Heal myself, which I don't need. Let's just run away a minute. I just want to apply the heal. So as long as you've got mana, the shield keeps on working and the heal spell keeps on working. So you can stand toe to toe with him, unless he does that, of course. But as you can see, my health bar is still healing. And there you go. Basically, if he doesn't grab you, you can get him in 3 hits with the dual-wielding Pietà swords. This guy here takes quite a lot of hits to drop. And I've dropped him in 2 hits. There you go. Now, within each weapon you can slot various runes, which will provide you with additional buffs, like more damage, more defense. You can deal damage to your enemy's poise. You can deal posture damage. So you can really rip through even the most powerful bosses, and you can find yourself standing toe to toe with them and exchanging blows and having to dodge very little, because you've got a constantly regenerating mana pool, although I do keep it up to date by using my little consumables here. Now, I'm going to do one more thing before ending the video and confirming yet again it's definitely worth it. If you like Souls games, invest in it, because it's bloody superb. And the patches have truly worked. They've done wonders. Only the lock-on, that still needs sorting, but it's not completely broken. It's only slightly cracked. I'm sure you know what I mean by using that expression. But now, here's where we quote Phase Shifter's very beautiful expressions. An unkillable murdering machine. Now, here's a weapon he truly recommends. As soon as you can get your hands on it, and you can, surprisingly early game, you go for the bloody glory, and you dual hand it. 2-hand the weapon. If you dual wield it with another weapon or the Pietà sword, it's really slow. Now, I've got plenty of stamina to do that, but the thing is, if you fight a faster enemy or a faster boss, he's going to get a lot of hits in between your swings. So 2-hand it, buff yourself with the extra holy damage, the shield, and the health regen, and watch me plow through him. 3 hits and he's gone. Let's go to Matey down here. He's going to come out to play. 2 hits and he's gone. There you go. And believe it or not, you can really chip away at your boss's health. And I mean take out significant chunks of a boss's health bar. When you're at the start of the game and you're buffed like this, a couple of hits and you get rid of the bosses. The early ones like Guitar and other bosses which I won't spoil for you. Later bosses are still going to provide a challenge. You are going to need more hits, but you do a lot more damage. And you can confidently stand toe-to-toe and really destroy them. Because you think, look at that damage. And honestly, this Bloody Glory weapon is truly devastating. It's so dangerous, and it does make you truly the unkillable murdering machine. Anyway, but for all intents and purposes, if you want to find out some truly in-depth, insightful information about builds and what weapons to use and what spells to use, and do visit Phase Shifter's YouTube page. The guy is your quartermaster. That's what I consider him. He is a truly gifted YouTube video guy. He knows what he's talking about, and his love and passion for the game really shines through. And he will guide you on the correct path to becoming the murdering machine that I've become thanks to him. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed. Take care, and just buy this game. Ciao, ciao.